I think of the ocean as this space that has been kind of a metaphor for freedom. And it still is that. It is a place that people go to escape rules and escape government and escape other people because it's so expansive. But those very allures of the space are what has made the ocean a scary place.
Don't take photos. So I put the camera down.
Few places on the planet are as lawless as the high seas. The ocean is a place of amazing beauty, but it's also this dystopian realm where severe inhumanities occur, and often with impunity.
Yeah, so I'm a journalist. I've been investigative journalist for the New York Times for about 17 years, and the last 6 years have been spent on a series called The Outlaw Ocean, which is about lawlessness at sea, kind of a exploration of human rights, labor, and environmental crimes that happen out there. And sort of its goal was to help people reimagine that space that is 2/3 of the planet and sort of a watery frontier. I think people typically think of it as an empty space that you fly over, but truth be told, it's a workplace where 50 million people work and live and produces 50% of the oxygen we breathe, and 90% of the products we consume traverse it. And it's this lively, relatively invisible sphere, and there are a lot of riveting, urgent, often dark things happening out there. So that's what the Outlaw Ocean is. And the Outlaw Ocean Music Project grew from it, and it was an experiment in teaming up with musicians from around the world, electronic, ambient, hip-hop, classical, and sort of viewing them as storytellers of a different sort. I am a storyteller who uses words. They are storytellers who use music, and as such they access people in a different way, more viscerally, kind of through their ears to their hearts, and rather than through their eyes with words and to their head, and have these musicians take the book, the Outlaw Ocean book, use sounds from the field recordings of 5 years of reporting and make music, as an alternate way to get people to care and to take interest in this realm. So that's what the Outlaw Ocean Music Project is, and now it's 440 artists from 60 countries, and every 2 months we put out 50 albums of different genres, and we pair the music with footage from the reporting, and it's just an alternate way to get the journalism out there. I try to have 50% of what we do is focused on people. So murder and mistreatment of stowaways, sea slavery, a sort of endemic global problem of captive workers on fishing vessels, and how they end up there. Environmental issues like, dumping of oil. Every year, ships intentionally dump more oil than the Exxon Valdez and the BP spill combined. And so why would ships do that? How they do it? How they get away with it? What could be done about it? There's this term IUU, which is an abbreviation for illegal, unregulated, and unreported fishing. And it's typically the term that refers to the several different sorts of concerns, the different types of scenarios. And overfishing is sort of a result of all three of them, right? And what's interesting is that illegal fishing gets the most attention because it's black and white, right? There's a law and you're breaking it. So we as police can go after you. But truth be told, in my opinion, 7 years in of working on this, legal overfishing is actually the bigger worry when it comes to the oceans running out of fish. And that's like where governments are essentially giving licenses to big industrial fleets to fish for squid or shrimp or cod or whatever it is, right? Tuna. So they're fishing legally, but they're fishing at an unsustainable rate that the stock, if you will, the population of that species can't possibly keep pace, right? And then couple those pressures with, acidification and sea temperature rise and climate change and plastic pollution, and now you've got, a death sentence. And when you think of it that way, and you think of the oceans writ large, and you know the statistics that, over 90% of predatory species are already at the brink of collapse, meaning they're at that tipping point where they can't replenish fast enough, then it's really worrisome, sort of the overall health. So a lot of the reporting we do, not all of it. I mean, we look at as much at the concerns above the waterline involving people and the concerns below the waterline involving marine life, kind of 50-50, but the below the waterline concerns all have to do with sort of illegal and unsustainable practices. And that also gets back to us as consumers, and it's not just a government issue, it's often a market and company, side issue. Are companies actually willing to confront this problem and require that if they're going to buy that type of fish, they need to know where it was caught, how it was caught, etc. Are they willing to do that? That's going to raise the price for us consumers. That's going to be a headache for them companies. But if they don't do it, then I don't have much optimism for the oceans, because the governments are, especially when talking about the high seas, the international waters, no government has authority over those. So really it's market players that are going to have to change their game. You hear the same line again from the average fisherman, whether it's in Borneo or Mexico or Norway, and or Gambia, and that line is, when I was a boy, I could go out for 2 hours and fill this basket, and now it takes me 2 days or 2 weeks. And that's the most concrete manifestation in their experience of the problem, right? So yeah, I hear that over and over again in lots of different places. I also see the layer behind that, which is the implications for the smaller non-industrial players are like life altering, right? So that guy who used to be able to leave and maybe he was out for 2 days and then come back and be with his family. Now, if he's, and maybe all he knows how to do, he might be illiterate, but or not, but often all they know how to do and all they want to do is that one thing. That's their craft, right? And so, but now it means they have to go for 2 weeks away from home to catch a subsistence level amount. And even that's a gamble. And furthermore, the equipment they have, the ship, the boat, isn't often, and the finances they have aren't often equipped to do that level of distance traveling, because nearshore stocks have disappeared. And so they're presented with heightened danger and heightened adversity because of overfishing. And so if you're paying attention and you see that level of brutality, if you will, slow motion brutality, that's really where you see the consequences. A lot of them are now fishing not even to feed local mouths, but to grind up the fish to make it pelletized protein fish meal, product that is used to feed fish farms in Norway and India to make shrimp and salmon that you and I eat. And fish meal is a perfect aquaculture, and the desire, hey, look, we need to slow down how many wild caught fish we're eating. Okay, good. We're doing, all right, how are we gonna do that? We're gonna set up these farms on land, and we're gonna raise them and fatten them up and eat them locally so that we don't put so much pressure on the ocean. Okay, good, seems smart. Okay, so then aquaculture emerges, fish farms emerge, and then it's like, oh wait, how do we feed these fish and get them robust enough that they'll make it to market and grow fast enough so we can make money on them and all that. Oh, well, we'll find something, and then they resort to fish meal, which is wild caught fish ground into, so it's like, wait, you've just completely done the opposite. So now fish meal production is actually outpacing what you were trying to fix. And so it's just like, best laid plans of mice and men. The first, answer to the question of, well, what do we do about the Outlaw Ocean? Well, first, don't ask that question. There is no winning. It's like, how do we win the war against injustice? You stop asking that question because you can't win the war against injustice. You can instead, or solve the Outlaw Ocean, you can just understand it, and then choose a part of it that most resonates with you and you feel like you might have some impact on, and focus on that. So if in the Outlaw Ocean case, if you're like really moved by what's happening to stowaways or ocean plastic or illegal whaling, or you pick some sea slavery, and then you just work on that and know that you're not going to win the war alone, or it may not even be winnable, but you're focusing on the battle that you can work on a little bit.
I think if there's anything to be learned about human nature from the Outlaw Ocean, it's that we all have this visceral capacity to behave in ways that we thought civilization had stamped out. There's a vanishingly thin line between civilization and the lack of it. And I think the exploration of this frontier is an attempt to look at how thin that line is and what's on the other side.
Hey, it looks like we are back here.
Interestingly, the audio from the video appears to continue to play.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was still hearing the audio from the video, but I noticed my face was popped up there. That was surprising. So, yeah, I also just got your message that I need to download Skype for this call, because I thought we were gonna do it in Discord.
Yes, that was some miscoordination on my part. Realizing I set up two different means of conversation for one interview.
No problem. If you want to teleport me somewhere visually interesting while I try to figure out how to do this.
Absolutely. Actually, if we start a build competition, that would be a perfect thing to do.
Yeah.
Hi. I don't know if Brick is here to start a build competition for us. I don't know if he got that working or not. 1 moment, please.
No worries. It's early. People don't expect much from us. Okay, so I'm realizing that it's not going to be able to use my webcam in the call at the same time I'm using my webcam in the stream. So I don't know how important it is for Charlotte to be able to see me. Wait, I can use OBS virtual camera, which I've never tried before. Hopefully this doesn't kill OBS. Okay, so she'll be able to see what's on the screen. It's going to be flipped for some reason. Okay.
I can stream the Skype call if you want, or you can. Either way.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I'm also going to have to figure out how to capture Skype in OBS. So...
Yes.
Do you already have
Skype...
that set up?
Yes, I do.
Okay. One day I want to run my own charity stream, They know it doesn't have to be perfect. it's 48 hours of hopefully pretty good.
I'm gonna just guess it out where the middle. All right. Wait, I have to mute myself. Oh no. There. Okay. No more echo. The videos are all there. I think this should be good. Hello again.
Hello again.
I'm gonna wait for the chat to now. No, don't say I'm echoing now. No, I promise I fixed it. Okay, it's good. We're good. Okay, confirmed good. So, Joe and Charlotte, hello. And Joe, you've already been here, but Charlotte, welcome to Love Tropics.
Thank you. Yeah, this has been really cool. I've been like popping in and out of the stream, just watching since it's launched, and it's just been awesome. So congrats to you and your team. I have no doubt that you have lost all of the sleep over this. So really appreciate you welcoming on to me today. I think this is going to be great.
Thank you. Yes, you're correct about the sleep. We're not going to discuss that. But it's been a really fun event so far. We're almost up to $10,000, which is really exciting.
Give it a look. That's one of the easiest and low-cost ways to support a project like ours, is stream the music. Because by streaming the music, not only are you supporting that artist, but you're also supporting the project, because our cut of the streaming revenue goes right back into the Outlaw Ocean Project nonprofit. So if you don't have the means to make a donation to organizations that matter to you, this is an example. You can read their work, engage with their work, and share their work, and that's going to help with the awareness goal.
Of the chat. Yes.
I know.
When you open before the chat, I have a question. I can see.
Right.
That's fair.
Joe, I'm learning my professionalism. I'm not at your level yet. I'm sorry.
Oh yes. I've got a tie and everything.
Yeah, I know. I'm very impressed. But no, I will just say, like, knowledge is power. Don't underestimate the power of knowing what goes on at sea and how that changes your day-to-day decision making. So when it comes to our motivations at the Outlaw Ocean Project, it's simply trying to equip you with the knowledge of what's going on and the severity and urgency that it's happening. And we're bringing that to you in a lot of different formats. And by engaging with our content, you're allowing us to be able to continue doing this type of work and supporting the nonprofits that do the physical work of doing some incredible chase at sea or negotiating with governments. And we can help support that work by reporting on it. But also, the more that you engage with content like this, the more that you will notice that you're questioning a lot of things about the way that they are. So you mentioned seafood. You're questioning the supply chain of where you got your seafood, but also so many other things come to you by way of sea. In fact, I think it was 95% of consumer goods come to us by way of sea, by way of cargo ship. And so think about that too. It's not just the seafood that comes out of the sea, but it's the barges that travel. It's the cruise line industry and oil production, and so many industries are reliant on sea by way of transport or by way of resources, minerals, metals, food, medical research. And so if you really just take a moment and pick something about your life, and this may seem overwhelming, I'm not saying all of these industries to make it seem like it is overwhelming, but if you pick one part of your life that you kind of want to reinvigorate, you can pick something like the seafood that you eat. You can pick something like the single-use plastics that you use and swap those out for reusable bags and reusable water bottles. But you can also just examine the types of businesses that you're supporting and their ethical codes. You can examine what are other nonprofits that you can support and how you can support them in those efforts, whether it's environmental abuses, human rights abuses, supply chain issues, COVID-19 relief for these abandoned seafarers. The work that we do is just trying to equip you with the tools to be able to continue asking questions. This is your launch pad, if you will. Take it, run with it, and don't stop until you feel like you are making a difference because you have the ability to do so. Whether you're in a landlocked country or not, we're all attached and we're all involved and continue to condone the behavior that's happening out at sea, whether we realize it or not, by the food that we eat, by the overseas, consumption that we do with online shopping and e-commerce. So that's what I will say is, from our perspective, if you engage with our content, if you stream our music, that allows us to continue bringing you stories that matter. And for the whole purpose of this stream, Oceana, if you by engaging with this Twitch stream and by sharing it, even if you don't have the monetary power to assist in these efforts, your voice is louder than you think. You have your own audience, you have your own influence. So really think about that and utilize it.
So we got one question here from the chat, from a Possum Vigilante, who says, are there any efforts to translate the content, the reports and stuff? I'd love to share with my friends and family who don't speak English that well. If I understand it, when I went to the reporting area of the website and I select a story here, it looks like you link to the reporting in each of the different countries that reported on it. So for example, in the Hidden Secret article, if you scroll down here, I posted a link. You can see there's Canada, Mexico, Argentina, Ireland. Is that the best way, or what would you recommend?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go to our reporting page on our website, and if you click on any of our recent stories, and if you also, let's say you're interested in the book as well, we have a book tab on our website, and if you were to scroll down, you can see all of the countries that we've published the book and the reporting in. And that also then means that they've been published in that country's specific language. So the book has been published into a ton of languages, but then also we've been making the recent effort here in the past year or so of translating our content, our continued reporting in various languages. And so we've reported in French. We've got this Reporters Without Borders piece that Ian wrote, and that entire piece is written in French, for example.
Did he write it in French? Does he speak French fluently?
No, I would love to give Ian the credit that he speaks 20 languages. That would be a cool skill. But he does not speak French, and so what we do is we partner with translators all over the world at various newsrooms, or just who are freelance translators to help us translate the reporting in a way that still keeps the reporting integrity and the journalistic integrity of the piece. And then we're able to supply that to these newsrooms for free. And so the Deadly Secret of China's Invisible Armada, just to give you a sense, it's been published in Japan, Brazil, Uruguay, the Philippines, Iceland even, South Africa, India, Haiti, Spain. So we've got a ton of languages and a ton of countries covered. If you've got family in those countries, or if you just have family that is non-English speaking, they still have the ability to engage with this content as well. And that is a huge piece of this puzzle, I think, is really trying to allow it to infiltrate the different populations of people all over the world.
And I don't know a lot about the reporting and republishing model, because obviously the New York Times is very different from the AP. When Ian would write a story in the Outlaw Ocean series for the New York Times, there wasn't necessarily an opportunity for it to then be republished in German, right? So this is something new that y'all are doing with your nonprofit, correct?
Right, that's correct. And so it is very much so a sort of news wiry service that we're providing, very similar to the AP. But, again, adding the extra layer of translation. The AP doesn't quite have that ability. And so by us really honing in on this specific subject matter, we have the bandwidth to be able to not only republish it in various outlets all over our country and various countries outside of ours, but then also in various languages. And so sort of stair-stepping up in terms of the access. We're wanting to make it as accessible and approachable as possible.
Well, that makes a ton of sense, because it seems like Ian has to go to great lengths to get embedded on some of these ships. So it's not necessarily feasible for, I'm looking at a list of 25 different newspapers, 30 newspapers all over the world that the Invisible Armada was published in. You can't expect Australia, Brazil, Scotland, and Spain to all embed people the same way. It's a lot of wasted effort. So that's great that you guys have that outreach.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point that you made. And newsrooms are increasingly anemic. That is a huge issue. Not only that is, our country, of course, it's happening, but it's happening all over the world. Newsrooms are shrinking. Their capacity is going with it. And so increasingly, the industry of storytelling is turning to a more freelanced effort. And whenever you do that, you become increasingly valuable as an outfit if you specialize. And this is, in my opinion, the specialties of all specialties. I mean, there are very few, if not, Ian is the only one of those, of a reporter who has the ability to go out and embed on these ships and continue to do so. It is a wildly expensive effort, but it's one that is wildly important, which is why that we try to stretch the reach of each story that he does to really stress and punctuate that effort.
In terms of the long term, because it seems like y'all have built something amazing in just a few short years here. When you start thinking decades out, are there plans for Ian to start bringing in other reporters to mentor so that you can start being on multiple ships at once, or eventually he can retire? I mean, I know decades away, but still, y'all are building something that could endure for decades.
Absolutely. And I think that that's why, we've established a really strong team of people. Even though it's small, we don't need that many to really engage with the reporting. And for people like me and the other members of our team, we have been in the thick of it. Even though we have been physically on these ships with Ian, we have very much so been with him every step of the way. And so in terms of longevity, I definitely think that Ian is starting to stretch his legs out a little bit, and incorporating a full-time team like ours, which has only really been developing for the past couple of years in terms of full-timers. That has really enabled a more longevity to the organization. How will that end up shaking out logistically? Who knows? But we're here and we're committed for the ride, and willing to do whatever that would take. And so, especially in a post-COVID world, may it come soon. We definitely look forward to opportunities where more of us can be involved in continuing to spread the reach of the project.
Awesome.
Yeah, this has been really awesome, Charlotte and Joe, both of you.
Well, y'all have awesome.
It's been so much fun and really informative. I really appreciate you giving us all the details about the project, and Ian, filling in for Ian while he was out at sea.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate the invite, and appreciate all of the work that you guys have done. And I really encourage everyone who's watching to continue engaging and really know the power of your own voice. I think if anything, that I want that to be everyone's takeaway. You have a lot of power in your hands, and so utilize it for good. Whatever that may mean for you, find meaning in what makes sense for you. And just thank you again for giving me a moment to come and talk about what I find meaningful. So thanks.
Thank you. Any final words, Joe?
Oh, no, I just wanted to repeat what you said. This has been really informative, really interesting, and I wish you all the best in all your endeavors.
Thank you, and likewise.
Great.